Good morning. Ooh, that was loud. Good morning. My name is Arlette and I'm from Denmark. I'm here to talk about leading with happiness. As you all just heard, how you run a company is really important. And the people running your company, if they're not happy, that they're not doing a good job. So let's move on. I brought a slideshow for you, and if you want to receive all the slides afterwards, I will give them to ELS. Should I? Yeah, thank you. So you will, whoops, you'll be able to have all the slides afterwards. So did you all have a good morning? Yeah. How many in this room now are actually happy at work? How many of you have tried to be in a period of your life where you were not happy at work? A lot of us have tried that. How many think that it's important to be happy at work? I'm happy to see that. So let me just briefly go through what we're talking about today, because this is me. I'm a Chief Happiness Officer coming all the way from Denmark. And what I do, I make people happy at work. In our small company that's actually called not WooHoo Inc., but WooHoo Inc. So when you pronounce our name, it's WooHoo Inc. That's where I come from. I joined the company in 2010, and what we do is all look into the science behind happiness at work. So everything I tell you today is based on evidence. And that's really important for us, that it's evidence-based, that people who are happy at work, they're more productive, and they actually are more innovative, and they can do their work even better. So we have some books about happiness at work. We have our first book that was Happy Hour, is from 9 to 5. It's a bestseller. It's out in 10 languages now. And I'm happy to announce that very soon, on November 21st, we actually have a new book coming out. It's about leading with happiness. And in that book, you'll be able to look even more into the science behind leading with happiness, a lot of good case stories, and that's actually where you can learn even more about this. So what we do, as I told you, we go around, we visit a lot of different companies, both inside Denmark and also around the world. We've been to not 46 countries, but actually today, now I can announce that it's 47 countries. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Excited to have Ukraine as flag here as well. So, I want to teach you one word in Danish. This is it. What word is that? If I translate it directly into English, I'll try to help you. It would be work happiness. It's not a word that exists in English, but in Denmark we actually have this word and we use it every single day. Employees, CEOs, companies, even the Queen uses this word, arbejdsglæde. So I would like you all to say this word after me. It's arbejdsglæde. So, arbejdsglæde. Fantastic. So, this is the word that we actually have in Denmark, arbejdsglæde. And it means to go to work and be happy. A word that we're using, and I'm very proud of that. And a lot of companies saying to us, being happy at work, is it about running around making fun all the time? It's not serious. We're actually running a serious business here. And we say we take happiness at work really seriously. And it's not that no one is happy every single day all the time. Sometimes we have a bad day. But maybe happiness at work is also about how many of the bad days do we have? And we made a small survey. We had around 700 people all around the world actually answering this survey. And we saw that when we asked the question, how often do you have a bad day at work? That 19% said that every day or almost every day they had a bad day at work. And they don't have this word, arbejdsglæde. they're not happy at work. 28% said more than once a week, more than one day a week, I have a bad day. 14% said about once a week. So these are actually not happy at work. If you have about once a week that you're not happy, it's not good. So when we looked at all these answers, we actually tried to see, okay, what if we look at Denmark, which should be one of the happiest countries in the world, right? Did you hear that? That we're one of the happiest countries in the world? Yes. So is it because that we are very happy, or is it because that we are not too unhappy? So we looked into this. If we compared the Danish answers with the rest of the world, it was actually be that on the Danish side, 1/3 of the people said that they had at least one bad day a week. But for the rest of the world, it was not 1/3, it was 2/3. So maybe in Denmark, we are not the happiest people in the world, but we might be the least unhappy people. So I think you will see that in Danish companies, that they actually are very professional and they are efficient. They want to go to work and do a great job. They want to go in every day and make a difference. It's really important to them. But it's also important for them that they like what they do. And that's what we are talking about now, that happiness at work, it's about doing more of what you like, doing more of what's meaningful to you, but also do something about what's not working, what makes you unhappy at work. So let's see the Danish workplace culture. Why are we so happy? It could be that we have a very flat management structure, and I'll get back to that. It could be that we are very into the teamwork and team effort. We don't measure every single person individually. We want to have the teams to be very proud of their teamwork. Also, we have maybe less working hours than a lot of other companies and a lot of countries around the world. And also we have one of the highest work-life balance in EU and in the whole world, actually. So looking at this, I thought I want to compare Denmark to Ukraine, the Danish workplace culture compared to the Ukraine one. And this place called the Hofstede Insights, you can go in there and you can actually compare countries all around the world and their work cultures. And in some of these, we are quite similar, and in some of those, we are quite different. And I would like to point out two of those. In Ukraine, you're really good at looking into a job and thinking about if you want to be the best at what you do, or if you actually choose your job because you like it. And that's the masculinity. If you look at this, in Denmark, the masculinity is really, really low. So if you're in a masculine workplace, the most important thing for you would be to be the best at what you do. You're very competitive, and you will not help your colleagues. You'll just think about yourself. And if it's more feminine, which you can see Denmark is very feminine and Ukraine is also quite feminine, you're not that competitive. You want to actually succeed as a team, as a business, as a company. So you actually want to create business value together with your colleagues, and that's really important. Where we are very different in Denmark from Ukraine, it's in the power distance, where you actually can see that Denmark is very low. So we have managers, but more than they actually give orders, they coach. So where in Ukraine, the power distance is very high. So when the manager is giving out an order, people, they do it. They don't question mark it. They don't say, is that okay? Is that right? Is that how we want to do it? And often employees in Denmark, they would question their manager. Do you think that's the best way to do it? I have another suggestion. And they will actually go to their manager and say that. So that's why I think the autonomy, that's why we are happy in Denmark, because we have a high autonomy. We are actually the highest in Europe in workplace autonomy. People have the freedom to do their work in a way that they choose themselves, and that's really important. I would say, and that's the work I do, that number one factor that makes us happy or unhappy at work, that's leadership. So if you're in a company where the CEO, the HR department, and even the line managers, they create a culture where it's not able to be happy at work, then the company will not be successful. So I would say number one goal should be to create happiness at work. And if you have a happy company, we saw it before that they are more productive, but you will also drive the motivation, the engagement, and that's what a lot of companies, they actually measure: work motivation, work engagement, well-being at work. So this is really important, that instead of looking into all these dimensions, try to create a happy company, and you'll actually create a company where people are engaged, they go to work every day, and they actually go home and think that I made a difference today. And that's the kind of employees we want to have. Gallup, you mentioned Gallup even before, and they found out that at least 70% of the workplace engagement in employees comes from the managers. So managing is really, really important. So leading with happiness should be the future of management. And I think that companies, HR departments should both promote and train leaders for happiness. The big question is, how do you do that? And I want to give you a few tips about how can you actually create a happier company. What do all the evidence, what do all the science say about how do we create a happy company? How do we create a company that are both happy and very successful? So why is this important? Actually, happy companies are more successful. And happy companies, employees, they will be less sick at work. They will actually stay longer in your company. And you, as a company, will also attract talents from all around the world. So focusing on becoming a happy company, that should be your goal number one. If you're happy at work, you'll actually become better at all these things. You'll be more productive, more creative, more helpful. You'll give better service. You'll be more engaged, more motivated. You will even be more resilient. And talking about all the change that happens in companies nowadays, it's really important to have resilient employees. So if you make sure that they're happy, it's easier for them to go through a bigger change. And also, in the bottom here, you can see that if you're happy, you will also become a better leader, a better manager. So, when we looked through all this science, what did we find out? What are the keystones to create a happy company? And we can actually take it down to only 2 things that you have to remember. Going home and changing, or even just if you have a company where you're happy now, to maintain that, or maybe even to lift it a little bit. So the 2 main keys are, I'll start with the first one. It's about results. Creating a company where you know that you make meaningful results. And results not only for the company, but for each person working there, that they feel that they go to work, that it matters, that they're making a difference. And the more meaningful this difference is, the more meaningful the results are, the happier they'll be, and the better they'll work. The other very important thing that you have to work with as a company is relationships. A lot of companies forget about this because we all have a company to create results, right? But without the relationships, the results will not be there. So I'll just go through a little bit about what do I mean when I say results? What do I mean when I say relationships? So let's start with the results. Often, what is it that we talk about in companies? Is it the things that we actually achieve, or is it the things that we didn't achieve? All the problems that we have. Often it is the problems that we have, or the things that we didn't achieve, the KPIs we didn't achieve. So when you have a company, from the CEO level, from the HR department, and from the leaders, from the line managers, it's important to talk about progress. Progress is so important because often we have goals and they're out there in the future every quarter, every year. But if we're just waiting to achieve those goals, then we would be happy only once a quarter or once a year. So during the progress, we need to see, during the process, we need to see if we're actually having progress. And this is a fascinating book called The Progress Principle, about science in using the small wins actually to achieve engagement, creativity with the employees. So what this science actually found out is that one of the most important things to motivate people, to motivate employees, and what can actually affect their feelings and happiness at work, it's about feelings. It's about going to work and feeling proud about what you do. So if you want to improve their happiness at work, improve their motivation, you should actually tell them and communicate to your people that they're making progress in meaningful work. Often we forget about that. We only look at the figures and the numbers. We forget about communicating about the meaningful progress. And that's very, very important. And it's even the small wins that are important in how people perform. So if you want your people to perform better, you need to communicate the meaningful progress and even the small wins on a daily or on a weekly basis. I think that would change the motivation in your people from day one. Relationships. It's about working on the relationship for you as a manager, to your employees, to your colleagues, but also creating a culture where the employees actually can build relationships to each other. When we talk about relationships, it's about trust, it's about respect, it's about create a company, a culture where you actually care about your colleagues, where people go to work and they know that their colleagues care about them. If they have a child who will be sick, someone will actually ask them, how's your kid? Is he better? And that's very important for us. As people, it's important for us to feel as a part of the tribe. We want other people to like us. As managers, as leaders, how you communicate is important to create the relationships to your employees. Do you involve them enough? How do you communicate? How often? How frequent? All these things are so important, and often we forget them. As leaders, as managers, we forget how important it is for our employees to feel that they're involved, to feel that somebody is actually listening to them. How can you create a workplace where people feel that they belong? In your workplaces, are you good at saying good morning? Yes. How's the culture here? Is it good? Yes. I want to test that. I want to test what level of good morning are you having here in Ukraine. So, are you ready for a little fun? Yes. Okay. Try to look down and repeat after me. That's what we call a level 1 good morning. Is this how it is at your workplace? That's how you greet your employees? No? Okay, let's take it to a level 2. Still, you're looking down, you're very busy with what you do. You're a very important manager, I know. So you look down, do your work, and say after me, good morning. Good morning. Was that better? No. Nah. Okay. Let's try a level 3 good morning. Now, actually, I think you should stand up. It's still early morning. Stand up. So now, on a level 3 good morning, you actually look people in the eyes and you say, good morning, good morning, good morning. So do that. Oh, I like that. Wonderful. So, what happened? You said good morning and you smiled. What brings people closer together? Smiling. And that's the eye contact doing it. I'm standing up here doing like this. That's not very nice. I said good morning. But have the eye contact. And I know that often in office spaces nowadays, it's big open spaces like with 70 people in the same room. It's really hard to walk around to 70 people having eye contact. But a level 3 good morning, you actually look up from your desk, from the work that you're doing. You look at people and you say good morning. Is that where you are, a level 3 good morning? Yes. What about a level 20? I have 20 levels. No, I don't. I do have 5 levels. Do you want to learn the last 2? Yes. Okay. On a level 4 good morning, it's not rocket science. If you want to create a relationship, build on the relationship you already have, what do? You add something extra. When you say good morning, you say the person's name, or you tell them that you're happy to see them, or you ask them a question about how they do. How's your son? I know he was sick yesterday. Oh, I know that you're working on this amazing project. How are you doing in your work? Stuff like that. You add something extra. So, find now 2 persons, go up to them, say good morning, have eye contact, and add something extra. Go. Yeah. So that's a level 5 good morning. It could be a hug. It could be knuckles, whatever. So thank you very much. Go down and nice to meet you. Woo. Level 6. So I would like you all to give 2 new people in the room a level 5 good morning. Eye contact, add something extra, and give them a handshake, or if you know them well, give them a hug. Go on, 2 new people. You're really good at this. Please find your seats. Thank you. Ew, I can see that you're really good at doing level 5 good mornings. Let me ask you a question. How many in the room today are actually already a leader, some kind of leader or manager? Raise your arm. Okay. One more question. How many of you do every single morning give at least a level 3 good morning? So that's having eye contact, that's looking up. How many of you do that? Amazing. You're really good at relationships. How many of you are doing a level 4 good morning every morning? Adding something extra? What about a level 5 good morning? Handshake, hug. Yeah. And I know we cannot give every single colleague a handshake and talk to every single colleague every single morning unless you kind of start work 1 hour earlier, right? So, but what about deciding for yourself that for the future, every single day, you will give at least 1 colleague a level 5 good morning. And the rest, of course, at least a level 3. That could be something that you decide for yourself to change how often you actually give your colleagues a handshake or a hug or whatever, but also talk to them. The funny thing, when we look into the science between the results and relationships, how often do we actually choose a manager or a leader because they're really very good at creating results? Often? Yeah, quite often. If they're good at creating results, often we think they'll be a good leader, they'll be a good manager. How often do we pick leaders and managers because they're good at creating relationships? Not that often. The funny thing is, if you ask employees if they see their leader as being a good leader or not, is it when they're good at creating results or relationships? Let's have a look at that. There's a very, very interesting survey made with 60,000 people where they asked the employees if they saw their leader as being a good leader. If that leader was very good at creating results, it would be 14% who said my leader is a great leader. And if that leader was seen as very good in creating relationships, in social skills, it was actually only 12% who saw that leader as being a great leader. So being good at one or other is actually not enough. As a leader today, as a manager today, leading people, you should actually be great at both. Because leaders who were good at both creating results and relationships, it was 72% of their employees who said, I have a great leader. So a question to you, how many of the leaders in this survey, and it was 60,000 people in this survey, how many percent of the leaders were actually good at both? What do you think? 10%? 15%? Was that 40%? 5, okay. You're pretty close. It was almost 1%. Exactly. So if we want to create great leaders, we should train them and promote them, not only for creating results, but for being good at both creating results and creating great relationships to their employees and between the employees. Think about it, less than 1% were good at it. So obviously, companies around the world, we didn't have the right focus. We often focus on the results, we forget about the relationships. And I would say the leader of the future is awesome at creating relationships. So if we gave all the leaders in the future the task that what was most important for them was to create happiness for themselves, for their employees, for the customers, for the clients. Because if you as a leader create a workplace where people are actually happy, they'll do a better job. We saw that earlier. You should, as a leader, help your employees to do what they do best. And when you know the difference in different people, you can coach them to do their absolutely best. If you don't know the difference in your different people that are working for you, you don't know how to help them. So it's about knowing your people. When you know your employees, you can help them do their best. Many leaders say that they have the knowledge that, of course, I need to help my people flourish and do what they do best. But they lack the tools. They don't have the tools often. That's why people call us. We know that this happiness at work is so important, but how do we do it? And we can tell them, think about results and relationships, but they want specific tools. And that's why we actually created this tool. I brought it with me today, if you would like to bring one with you home. It's about what you as a leader could remember to do every single day. To feel, am I happy myself? How can I create happiness for my employees? Examples how you can get to know your people even better. It's about listening. It's about giving praise and feedback, positive feedback in a good way. Not just do it because you want to do it, but do it in a specific good way. So these are tools that in a session this afternoon, I'll actually go through all these tools. I think it's around 2 o'clock. We have a session about line managers, and I'll go through this tool. So if you take one with you home, I'll just tell you that in the top, there's a link where you can print out exercise sheets, and on the back of the card, you can actually have it on your desk, and every single day you can mark in the things that you have done. So one of the things that's on here, it's in the bottom, it's acts. It's random acts of workplace kindness, and that's actually just one of those. The best tip I can give you as a leader, as a manager, is if you start doing these things, don't do everything at the same time. Take small steps, one step at a time. Change the things that you want to change and that you could see are really important for you to change. If you are focusing on relationship now, maybe take something that are more into the relationship part and the other way around. If you do random acts of kindness, which is one of my favorites, I love doing random acts of kindness. It's like, doing something nice to another person. And when you see that that person actually becomes happy, do you know what? Then I will become happy too. That's the fantastic thing about making other people happy. It's actually making yourself happier too. So if you want to go home and create a happier workplace for yourself, if you think, I want to become more happy at work myself, go and make other people happier. And I brought you a small video from a Danish company where two of the managers, they decided we want to surprise our employees with a level 5 good morning. Have a look at these two guys. So it's all in Danish, but you can hear they're very enthusiastic. And they're greeting with a level 5 good morning, great to see you. And they actually even bought breakfast for the employees. And it's not something they do every single day. It's something, this was really random. They did it out of the blue. And so maybe you would say, yeah, of course they're happy. There were breakfast for free that morning. But these managers, they actually told me that they buy breakfast for the employees like 2 or 3 times a week. So it was not the breakfast. It was that the managers, they were down there, they were meeting their employees, they were telling their employees that we're happy to see you, we're here for you, welcome to work. And that made a difference. Employees were talking about this for weeks and weeks after. Remember when these two managers, Carsten and Carsten, that were their names, they were both named Carsten, when they were down the reception greeting us, that was amazing. And these two guys, they're awesome. They're doing a lot of things similar to that, surprising their employees with random acts of kindness. So I will finish up with saying that what I think is important for you as a leader is that you communicate meaning and purpose. How you communicate it is also important. How often, how frequent, that's really important too. You have to show that you trust your employees, give them autonomy in the work that they do, have to support them, coach them, know them so you know how to coach each individual in your team. And of course, always be authentic, because happiness at work is not just something you can order. Happiness at work is something we all do. So thank you very much for listening to this morning session. Hope to see you again this afternoon. Thank you.
Don't go. Ми готові взяти ще декілька запитань. Одне-два запитання до Arlette, хоч ви її будете бачити сьогодні ще впродовж дня. Будь ласка. Дозрівайте, посинайтесь, вже всі сказали good morning.
Hello, thank you for such interesting presentation and speech. Could you please advise what data did you took for your statistics of happiness? Where did you get it?
Oh, from a lot of places, both from Gallup and like you saw the book, The Progress Principle. So we have I would say around 1,000 different that we look into. We look mostly into positive psychology, also into neurology and sociology. So if there's something, and that goes for all of you, because I put in my email here. So if one of these things, is relationships really that important? Is it for sure? How come that people are more resilient when at work? And how come that you need to show that they are creating results? That's, for example, because we know from science that bad is stronger than good. That when we talk about one bad thing and one good thing, we'll remember the bad thing more. And there's a lot of science into that. That's why we should visualize the results more. We should talk about the work that we actually get done, instead of just talking about, oh, we are behind work, you need to run fast, or you need to work more. We need to motivate people by telling them that they actually are doing a great job already. We are making progress. So there's a lot of science. So if you want to read some of the articles or some of the science, feel free to send me an email, but be specific, because as I said, it's several thousand different stuff. In the book that's coming out in November, there will be some of the science with links in that book too. But I will send it to you like tomorrow or maybe on Monday. I'll be back home and on my email, but ask me about if it's the relationship thing. You saw the survey about the results in relationship, if employees see their leader as being a great leader or not. That was in here already, but there's so many different. But it's a good question because we want it to be evidence, we want it to be a science-based. It's not just, that's how I was a leader once and that worked for me. We can't use that at all, right? Yeah, more questions?
Good morning. Thank you for sharing your energy and the inspirational presentation.
You're welcome.
Actually, how did you change the culture and how did you involve your leaders to be more happiness-oriented?
Yeah. In Denmark, I think, as I just showed you on a slide, we have a more flat management structure. And the power distance between the CEOs and the managers to the employees are not that far. It's very low in Denmark. So in Denmark, it was not too difficult to create this. But when we teach, even Danish company, it's about involving, listening to their people. And it starts from the top. Sometimes we hear that CEOs want us to go into a company and make a presentation for their employees. And the CEO is not even showing up. And that's a signal. Joining the happiness at work presentation is a signal, but staying away is an even bigger signal. And where I've actually seen this work the best is where the CEOs, they walk the talk. In the financial work in Denmark, we work with a company called SEB Pension. The CEO, he was amazing. He said to the employees that why not create a small crew of happiness ambassadors? So they don't want it to be ambassadors, they wanted to be chief happiness officers. So they decided and they were allowed. And he said, everything you come up with, it's okay with me. I accept it up front. And it was in the financial branch, okay? In the financial world. And they actually decided that every morning at 10:15, we have to do 5 minutes of exercise because everybody's sitting behind their desk all day long. So they did that every day at 10:15. They stood up and they did some small exercises, stretches. And who was there every single day? The CEO. And that's why it worked. So if you want to bring on the happiness at work culture, start with the top level management and tell them how important this is not about going to work to become happy. This is about going to work and do a better job. Because when we are happy, we are better at what we do. So it's about still creating a successful company, but you cannot do that without people who go to work and know that they're making a difference.
Besides leadership, what are 3 other prerequisites for ensuring transformation of unhappy company into the happy company?
Once again,
what are 3 prerequisites besides leadership involvement into ensuring that unhappy company will transform into a happy one?
I think all the basic needs should be there, and that's what I see in different cultures. If people are not paid enough or like to make sure that their basics need can be there, it's really hard working on happiness at work. And that's what really is the difference, maybe even between Denmark and Ukraine. That we, for many, many years, we've been working on creating companies where people actually, they're quite well paid. We have like 5 weeks of vacation. We work 40 hours a week, approximately. So having the basic needs in a company is really important. Yeah. And then you can work on the happiness at work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.